Okay, are you able to see PPT?
Yes, sir.
So, as I was explaining you, the water that in the ground, you can see it in, we have three zones in the soil. The first one, unsaturated zone, that is from your ground level. This is your ground level to the water table. So this is the till the water level we get it. So till here we have unsaturated zone where the soil particle. Then we have a saturated zone. So this saturated zone we call it as a it's a saturated zone, and the unsaturated zone we also call it as a aeration zone where the air is present in the voids, and it is very much required for the plant growth also. Now let's talk about the types of water bearing layers. So that is this layer, saturated layer. We call it as, commonly we call it as aquifer. So there are different types of aquifers are present. So common one we call just as a aquifer. So it's a saturated formation of earth material which do not stores water but yield it in a sufficient quantity, means which not do not know which not only stores water but yield in a sufficient quantity, means it stores sufficient quantity of water in the voids, and when you dig a well in that aquifer you will able to extract also the sufficient quantity. That means it stores and it releases the water in a sufficient quantity. That's the basic property of aquifer. Then we have aquitard. So aquitard is also a form of aquifer, but here the water will leak down. So it's a formation which in which only the seepage is possible. So aquitard is a special aquifer where only the seepage is possible, and when the water is seeping down, you will not able to extract a sufficient quantity of water, though the water is present. If you dug a well in the aquitard, you will not able to extract the water. That's the speciality of aquitard. So we also call it as a partly permeable. Example is a sandy clay unit. If your aquifer consists of aquitard, sorry, sandy clay unit, then it will come in a category of aquitard. And if you dug a bore well there, you will not able to extract sufficient quantity because the water will be leaking down. So that's what it's called as partly permeable. This thing, if aquitard is also there, we call this thing as also leaky aquifer. Then we have aquiclude. So it's a geological formation which is impermeable to flow of water. Means the water is present, but if you dig a well into that, you will not able to extract any water or very minimal water. That we call it as aquiclude. The example is clay. So especially you can say as a your black cotton soil kind of a thing, or you can say highly clay soils. What is the property of these soils? These soils will hold the water and it will not allow water to go out. That's the property of the highly clay soils. Example, black cotton soil. So though the porosity is high, if you take example, black cotton soil, it has the highest porosity, maybe or more than 35%. But due to the molecular attraction, it will not allow water to go out. It will hold the water. So if you dig a well into such kind of aquifer, you will not get any water. So this kind of aquifer is called as aquiclude. Then we have another type, that is we call it as aquifuge. So this is basically a geological formation which is neither porous nor permeable. That means it doesn't have a porosity and it's not permeable. Take example of a huge rock mass. So if you just take a huge rock mass, or you can just go on a huge rock hills, what happens? Rock has a very low porosity, maybe around 2%, something around that is the porosity of the rock. And since there are no interconnected openings, water will not flow. So when the water is not flowing there, you will not able to extract the water. So though the water is present in that rock mass, you will not able to extract that water. That we call as a aquifuge. So no interconnected openings and hence cannot transmit water. So example, massive compact rock without any fractures. Now in the same rock, if the fractures happens in the future, then what happens? The fractures basically acts as a conduit of water. The water flows through those fractures, and if you dig a well or if you drill it in the fractures, you will able to extract the water. So that is why, especially when we dig a bore well for our home or anything, so we get water in the fractured zones, especially in the Bangalore where the water table is low. So if you hit a good fracture, you get good quantity of water in your well. If you don't hit a good fracture, then you may not get the good quantity of water. That is why you can see especially like a special variability in the water that people can extract from the groundwater. Just like sometimes you will able to get good quantity of water, your neighbor will not able to get good quantity of water from his borewell. So that happens due to the presence or absence of fractures. If you are hit good fracture, you get a good quantity of water. If you are not hit good fracture, then you will not get the good quantity of water. Okay, so these things are clear: aquifer, aquitard, aquiclude and aquifuge. So these definitions we should remember it properly. Now let's discuss the types of aquifer. If you want to categorize your aquifer, we can categorize it into two parts. One is unconfined aquifer and confined aquifer. So the definition, the meaning lies in this word unconfined and confined. Unconfined means you are not confined, it means it is open. And confined means you are confining between the two layers. So let's discuss first the unconfined aquifer. So in the unconfined aquifer, you can see here the water level. Okay, this one. So here, this from here to here, we call it as a unconfined aquifer. So what exactly is unconfined aquifer? The bottom of that aquifer is impermeable. So you have confining layer. So this is impermeable and it gets the recharge water from the ground. So whenever there is a rainfall or other thing, whenever there is a recharge that is taking place, so those water will come, and what happens if you have the bottom impermeable, water will start building up and your water table will develop. Another important thing for unconfined aquifer is that the water table, we call this water table, it's at the atmospheric pressure. And when you drill a well into your unconfined aquifer, so this is the well that is drilled into unconfined aquifer, the water table in the well will match the surrounding water table. So water table that is present in the well is same as the water table of surrounding environment, the surrounding space. That's a property of unconfined aquifer. That's what it's written here for unconfined aquifer. So unconfined or water table aquifer is the one in which the groundwater has a free surface open to the atmosphere. So we have this free surface at atmospheric pressure, so open to the atmosphere. When we dig directly, this gets exposed and recharge to this aquifer takes place with the infiltration of precipitation from the ground level. So whatever the recharge that is taking place from the ground level gets joined to this unconfined aquifer, and a well driven into the unconfined aquifer will indicate a static water level corresponding to the water level at that location. So it's water, this water level and the surrounding water level is same. That's the unconfined aquifer. Now, when we talk about a confined aquifer, as the name suggests, the water it gets stored between two confining layers. Now you can see this is confining layer 1 and confining layer 2. So in between, the water is stored in the soil or your substrata. So in this one, the if we just consider here, when you drill a well here, what happens? The water level in the confined aquifer is always at a higher pressure. Since it is confined between the two layers and it is completely filled, what happens? It exerts the pressure gets developed inside, and the water is at the higher pressure than the atmospheric pressure. So if you drill a well into a confined aquifer, just like you can see it here, the well has been drilled in the confined aquifer. Since the water is at pressure, the water level is always higher than the water table that is present in the confined aquifer. Now you can see here the water is has come out. In this one you can see water table is up to rising up to this level. So since here the ground level is down, the water table is flowing, it's coming out. So such kind of wells we also call it as artesian wells, where you can see if you just drill a well and if it's going to the confined aquifer, sometimes the water will come out of the well because the water in the confined aquifer is always at the pressure. So these things we also call it as artesian wells. So you will see in some locations water is coming out, or sometimes, especially if you see the geysers also. You know what is a geyser? Not your home geysers. Have you heard about the geysers? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
What is a geyser?
Sir,
We get a cold water or hot water from it.
hot water, sir.
So from where it comes from the ground. So there are some locations where if you drill the bore well there, and periodically the water it comes out as a fountain, hot water basically, on the ground. So such things we call it as a geysers. I think in the Himalayan basins you will find it, Himalayas, and also in US another thing. So that comes under a geothermal category also, that basically heats the water. So water is already under pressure, and when it heats up, the pressure also increases. Pressure is directly proportional to the temperature. So in that case, the water starts coming out also. So
Excuse me,
that
sir.
is,
Sir,
tell me.
time up, sir. It's break time, sir.
Okay, I'll take finish. I'm finishing this aquifer and I already gave some earlier time. No, I started class late.
Okay.
No, so that you did not take it as a break. Huh?
Yes, sir. We are waiting in the lobby only, sir. It's like
Yeah.
waiting in. We are waiting in the meeting only, sir. We are not to break, sir.
Okay, I'll take another 5 minutes. I also know it. So
Yes,
you should not
okay,
tell
sir.
me when I should take the break. Okay. Otherwise, I would have finished by now. Now you stop. I'm gonna have to think what I was talking. Okay.
Jesus, sir.
So I think Prabhu is not interested. Okay. So I was talking about confined aquifer. So one more thing which is left, the recharge through in the confined aquifer, it happens only in the areas where it is exposed to the ground. It cannot have a recharge from anywhere because confining layers are impermeable layer, and it gets the recharged from the region where it is exposed to the ground. So for this particular type of confined aquifer, the recharge, you can see it here, will be taking place through these regions. So that's basically the confined aquifer. So that's what it's written here. It's also known as the artesian aquifer, and it is confined between two impervious beds such as aquicludes and aquifers. So what are the aquicludes and aquifers? They are the impermeable layers, as we discussed here, aquiclude and aquifers. So in between, water is stored, so that forms the confined aquifer. Discharge to this aquifer takes only in the area where it is exposed to the ground surface. The water in this confined aquifer is always under pressure, and hence the piezometric level will be higher than the top level of aquifer. So that is what you will see it here. The water level is always higher than the top level of the aquifer. How much higher? It depends on the pressure in the aquifer. And also a well driven into the not here. A confined aquifer, we also call it as a leaky aquifer if either or both of its confining beds are aquitards. If both one of the bed or both the beds of this confining layers is made of aquitard, that means sandy clay unit where the water leaks, then we call these aquifers also as a leaky aquifer. Okay, so this in figure it is explained, you can refer it. So I'll stop here. I think that will make guys happy. So remember, I gave you time of 10:05. That means 10 minutes I told, no? So 10 minutes I can take. So that's much I have taken it. Okay. Till here is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the next class we'll continue. I'll discuss about the stratifications, aquifer properties, and then we'll start the well hydraulics. That's on Monday. Okay. And do
Okay,
well
sir.
in the assignment. Monday I am going to take the class whether you guys attend or don't attend.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am not bothered whether you guys are attending or not attending, or simply tells we have assignment submissions we cannot do anything. That I am not interested. There will be class at the regular timing. If you attend or if don't attend. If nobody is there, I'll consider that portion is over groundwater. Thank you. Thank you for being patient. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And sorry for the delay. There was some system problems.
It's okay, sir. No problem.
Okay. Wait. I have to download the attendance. Okay, you guys can download it.